All right, let's write a solution for this joins exercise. To start, we need to create our tables. We'll start with students. Very simple, ID and first name. So create table, students, and we have, an ID, which is an integer, but I also want it to be primary key, and we'll add auto increment as well. And then we have first name, which will just be varchar, 50. That should be safe for most people's first names to fit within 50 characters. And then we have our second table, papers, which has a title of the paper and a grade that's a number. So create table, papers. And we have, I guess I didn't say we needed an ID, so we don't need to bother with that. But it's always a good practice to put an ID in, but that's okay. We'll have title and grade. Title is a varchar. And in general, it would be good to make first name not null and title not null, but just for simplicity's sake, I won't. Then we have the grade, which is an integer. And then finally, we have our foreign key, which is student ID. Now, student ID is just an integer as well. And then I'm going to say foreign key. And what is the foreign key? It is student ID. What does it references? It references the students table, the ID column from students. Okay, so that should set up the foreign key constraint for us. I will go ahead and insert those two, or rather create those two tables. And then I'm going to insert this data that it's not really an exercise, it's just copying and pasting. But I guess it helps you verify if things worked as well. Let's select star from students. That looks good. Select star from papers. Come on. That looks good as well. Okay. Next up, our first exercise using this data. So we need to generate this result where we have first name, title, and grade, where it's every student that wrote a paper with the paper's grade and title. So this is an inner join. This is going to be an inner join using students and papers, so only two tables, based upon the student ID and the foreign key student ID. So let's try that. Let's do a select, I think it was first name and then title and then grade from students, join papers on, and then we'll say where the papers dot student ID, if that's what we called this here, is exactly equal to the student dot ID. And is there any sorting or anything else? I don't think so. So this should do it for us. We get Caleb 60, Caleb 75, Samantha 94, Samantha 98, Carlos 89. Looks good. Same results. Now, I'm an idiot. There is a sort here, which I didn't call out in the exercise, but there is a sort based upon the grade. So we could easily add that in by just saying order by, and then order by grade. And we want descending. The highest grade came first. So if we try running this one, now we should get that same order. 98 down to 60. Okay, so that's an inner join. We could have also written inner space join if we prefer. Then we have this other join. In this case, we have every single person, every student, right? Caleb, Samantha, but we also have Raj and Lisa. They don't have any corresponding papers. So this would be an example of a left join if we started with students on the left. Or it could be a right join. If we had students on the right, we would do a right join. We just want to take everything from the students table, and then any overlap from papers is great. Okay, so I'm going to do a select first name. Is it the same columns in the same order? First name, title, and grade. Title, grade from students. And we'll do a left join. Papers on, where papers.studentID equals students.id. Make sure I have papers there. Okay, try that. And this is looking good, right? We have Caleb's papers, his grades, Samantha's papers, and the corresponding grades. But then we also have Raj, who has no papers. Lisa, no papers, no grades. Okay, so that's what we were supposed to get there. Now we have the upgraded version where if we had null for a given title, we replace it with missing. And then we also replace the grade with 0. So to do that, we're going to use if null. Same thing here, first name, title, grade, except I'm going to write, let's do it on separate lines so it's easier to read. We'll do a first name, and then for title, if null for title. Remember, the second value here is what we want to replace title with. If it is null, we'll say missing. And try running that. We should see missing. Perfect. And then we want to do 0 for grade. So the same approach. If null for grade, replace it with the 0. Replace it with 0. And now we see 0 over there. Okay, that's looking good. What do we have next? We now need to calculate the average grade for all of our people, all of our students. And if they don't have a grade, we'll replace it with 0. Or if the average is null or something, we'll figure out what we need to do to make this 0. And then we're going to order them as well by that average. So this is another example. I want to do a left join because that's the only way I can find out that Raj and Lisa don't have grades or they don't have papers. If I only did an inner join, we would only get Samantha, Carlos, and Caleb because they're the only students who have written papers. But I want to know about Raj and Lisa. I want those null values, and then I can replace them. So we'll do a select. All we're doing is first name and then grade. But I'm going to average the grade, but we'll get there. Select first name and grade from students, and we'll do a left join papers on students.id is equal to papers.studentid. And then the new addition here is a group by. We're going to group by first name. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog whining in the background. Group by first name. So now we take basically this table that we have here and we group by first name. So Caleb has 2, Samantha has 2, Raj has none, Lisa has none, Carlos has 1. And then we're going to do the average of grade instead of grade. And let's see what that gives us. Oh, I accidentally hit L at the end. Let's try that again without the extra L. All right, so we're close. But we want to make sure instead of null, we put 0 there. So remember, we can do if null of average of the grade. So if that is null, we'll just replace it with 0. And I'm also just going to rename this to be average. Looks good to me. Run that. Okay, that's looking good. The final thing we need to do is sort or order by that average. So let's do an order by average. And we want descending, I believe. Just looking at what we had here. Yep, highest to lowest. And there we are, 96, 89, 67, 5, 0, 0. Looks good to me. Perfect. Our final piece now is to take that same query, but also add on this passing status that is based upon whatever the average result was. We're going to write passing or failing. So we're going to use case, copy this, and I'm just going to put these on separate lines to clean it up a bit. All right, put from students here. So we're going to have a case, and I put the end before I forget. And in here, we're going to look at whether this right here, so I'm just going to copy this. When we have this if null average grade 0, this is going to spit out either a number like 50 or 90 or, well, it's always a number, or 0. But if that number is greater than 75 or equal to, I guess I didn't specify, then we'll say passing. All right. Else we'll say failing. And let's see if that does it for us. Let's try. And it does. I need to rename this though. This column name is quite long. I called it passing status. So let's do that as passing status. And there we are. So we see Samantha, Carlos, Caleb, Raj, Lisa, their grades sorted highest to lowest, and passing status. the top two, Samantha and Carlos, pass. Caleb with the 67.5. Sorry, he turned in papers, but he still failed. They weren't high enough. Raj and Lisa didn't turn anything in, so we had null values. We replaced that with 0. They fail. And that's it for this exercise. So hopefully you can see how a left join helped us there, right? An inner join is great if I want to know information about the overlap, but there's also information in the lack of an overlap, meaning the people who did not turn in a paper. We can find that out using a left join, or we could have done a right join if we had students on the right. They're interchangeable if you move what's on the left and what's on the right. It's the same concept. All right, that's joins. Next up, we've got a lot to learn about many-to-many relationships.